But it is also Gary Gensler in the sense that they did not want crypto or Bitcoin to become enmeshed with the financial system. So they wanted to keep Bitcoin out of the securities markets. Now, that didn't happen for two reasons. One is that Kamala lost the election. Two is that Gary didn't really do a good job at the SEC, even from the perspective of Elizabeth Warren. Right? Which is that he was losing cases left and right. Famously, I mean, he made zero progress on his case against XRP. And here we are, coming full circle. And so I think that Gary was too much of, he's like an academic, right? I think that's where Gary does great, in the classroom. I think that's, he's a good professor. He likes to teach. But from a managerial perspective, what I've read from the reporting, which I don't know if it's true or not, is that he wasn't a great manager. He's not a great people person in terms of helping folks get things done. And, he's not a great leader. And so that's why he really struggled in the role at the SEC. So going forward, obviously the floodgates are open. And so whether it's Bitcoin or crypto, the securities markets are going to be flooded with new securities. And we can debate the merits of those securities. But I actually think it's good that the SEC is going back to being merit neutral, which is that they're saying, hey, look, we don't care if you securitize Dogecoin or SHIB or whatever, as long as you're correctly disclosing everything to the public investors, knock yourselves out. And I think that's a proper role for a regulator. Once you start picking winners and losers from a securities perspective, I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense because, the SEC should not be a hedge fund manager that is trying to decide what's going to go up or down.
I mean, it's not their role, right? It's not their role. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was the which I find poetic as well, right? Which is the final release of the ETF. They dragged their feet on this. The account got hacked. There was tremendous volatility. The purpose of the SEC is to prevent market manipulation, but it was their Twitter handle that enabled market manipulation. They completely overstepped, I guess, their role. Now, I know that the new chair, I think her name is Hester Pierce, if my memory serves me correctly, she's a lot more open to this. And, the whole idea of the repeal of the SAB 121, I think it's called SAB 122 these days. But what's that going to enable? How significant was the repeal of that regulation? And I believe that was a regulation by executive action or it wasn't regulation via legislation.
Yeah, that's correct. So the nominee for the SEC to be the chair of the commission is Paul Atkins.
Okay.
Now, Commissioner Pierce was on his staff when he was previously on the SEC, and she is now herself a commissioner. And I've met her personally. She's a wonderful person. I've also read her opinions on, different issues, and I agree with her. She's very pro-innovation. So I think that it's great that Paul Atkins is aligned with that agenda. Now, I'm sorry. What was the question?
So I guess the question is the significance of the repeal of SAB 121. What's that going to do?
Yeah, so that was something that Gary Gensler tried to sneak in as a favor for Elizabeth Warren to prevent banks from custodying Bitcoin and other digital assets. And so that was really, it's all about capital controls, right? And trying to keep things separate. Now, the way they tried to do this was malicious by weaponizing accounting guidance to try to make it so that banks have to hold lots of what's called regulatory capital against any cryptos or Bitcoin that they hold. And so in practice, what that could look like is if you, as a bank, let's say you're going to hold Bitcoin on behalf of somebody. So they're going to have 1 Bitcoin in their checking account. You're going to hold 1 Bitcoin on your balance sheet. It's 100% reserve. And on top of that, you have to hold $100,000 worth of treasury securities, right? Of bonds. It's like, doesn't make any sense at all because it's already full reserve. And so, but they would go further and say, no, you have to hold like 5 times the number of treasury securities because Bitcoin is so risky. It could go to negative $500,000. It's like just complete nonsense. And so SAB 121, people tried to get rid of it through the legislative process. It passed the House and the Senate to get rid of it. And President Biden, obviously, he had no idea what he was signing, but he vetoed it. And so highly partisan decision on his staffer's part. Maybe we should find out who actually, signed it or told him to sign it. But that was day one, promises made, promises kept. They got rid of SAB 121. And so what we'll see going forward, and I'm really hopeful on this, is that instead of having to go sign up at Coinbase to go buy Bitcoin, you'll just be able to do it from your existing bank account, right? So you don't have to go KYC AML, a second time, right? You just got to do it once at JP Morgan Chase or a Bank of America or wherever you normally do your banking. You'll just be able to directly buy Bitcoin there and then withdraw it to your self-custody using Lightning or on-chain directly from your bank. And I think that that's just much more practical and will accelerate hyper-Bitcoinization.
Need liquidity without having to sell your Bitcoin? For more than 6 years now, Ledn has been the trusted choice for Bitcoin-backed lending with transparency, security, and trust at their core. I absolutely love these guys, and I personally have not only an account with them, but also a loan. And some of the key features that I love about Ledn is the fact that there are no monthly payments. You pay at the end of the term. You also have the ability to roll over the loan as well, and you can pay it back whenever you want. Essentially what they do is that they help their clients unlock the liquidity of their BTC, allowing you to HODL while still accessing the wealth of your Bitcoin. They've been battle tested with their focus on transparency, security, and trust, allowing them to build a proven track record of client success and security, helping tens of thousands of clients harness the value of their digital assets with confidence and peace of mind. Learn more about what your BTC can do for you. Check out Ledn.io today.